당도 내려줘게 야 상유 좀 된디기 야 상제다 네 진짜배야 야와 잠바 루르나 토메라서 봐도 쳐봐다 좀 버렸담 잡아디 마 아니 시에기슝 디디레 세팅한 중거르시 내가 때내가 저기 냠는 제대 가르쳐 버렸나 나 라마다 상제 남기 구송도게 연대 아니 전신배 토네 안 대바체야다 아는 저기 다시 음식이 되게 손에기 최대려야 냠 퇴섬 곰숨 제야 돼 냠는데 직직인 선배게 양도 어떤 것이야 뒷바다 안에 매바 제야지 어두시네 롤이야 두스 거미에 디레서 가서 대신 쇼베디 거시지 맞지.
Good afternoon. So this morning we continued to look or completed looking at the salutation and the promise to compose and so forth. And there we saw Lama Tsongkhapa offering homage to Buddha Shakyamuni, Maitreya, Manjushri, Nagarjuna and Asanga. And the meaning that we are to take from this is that we at the outset of all our activities such as this, we should generate or recall the tremendous kindness that our spiritual teachers, our lamas, have shown us in this and previous lives, enabling us, guiding us to develop good qualities. And having generated a sincere recollection of their kindness, generate the aspiration to engage in this text of the Middle Lamrim, to engage in it, cultivate it within our hearts.
Dela ne pe bikama kamalashi kebanamnisa chu zumbobe rewadang chugi chewadang 그래서 chu zumbobe chewadang chugi chewadang 디지털 시지 님비 출숨 원도 가체와 셰바 따르스 아니 자주 람비 림비기 티셰바라시 최공증벌제비 지를 제법에 채워된바 담가라 구바기비 지를 추기 채워된바 채원이 된 비기 최라년시 지들 자와당 한 담방위기 로마 지들이 림바오세 오도신의 송아래.
And the text continues, so at the bottom of page 1 on the handouts, the scholars of glorious Vikramadashila monastery considered it vital to commence with the three preliminaries: the greatness of the author of the Dharma teachings, the greatness of the Dharma, and the way to explain and listen to the Dharma. In accordance with that, this guide to the stages of the path to enlightenment has 4 parts, showing the greatness of the author so as to demonstrate that this Dharma is a pure source, showing the greatness of the Dharma so as to generate respect for the instructions. Thirdly, how the Dharma possessing those 2 greatnesses should be listened to and explained. And finally, the stages by which a student should be guided through the actual instructions.
다디네 디스모레 델라 비카마 실레 케반 남기 세드 당아주 지당 취에 가래 셰베나 취에 셰바 델라 시야레야 안 키슈르지 간스 고당보 간스 시오레스나 너로바 까말라 실라 소베 케반에 가래 순고레스 지 데네 순고레스 시 순고르바다.
The scholars of glorious Vikramadashila monastery considered it vital to commence with 3 preliminaries. So the great masters from this ancient Indian monastery, such as Kamalashila, they thought it of great importance that texts are structured in this way.
디네 자다 가래 순고레스네 최 좀보베 체와 세네 다최 뎁뎁네 당한주게 람림 징시 시기 반자 람림 징 좀보베 수레라나 아니 제르무친자 제르무치기 계주 채와서 계주다 연된 주고래서 그러 안디 디나신다 제르무치기 안디마 가르 순고라서 람른 순고로와 지자 람른 시기자 최시에게 최대 람른에도 와 지자 람른 좀보보디 아니 연된다 계주 주고래 지자 된주 된 가르나 가르셰베나 디 된주에 되게 좀보보 나네 좀보보게 디 채와서도 연된 계주도 연된 주고래서 최 좀보베 채와서.
The first of the 3 greatnesses, the greatness of the author of the Dharma teachings. So here our text is composed by Rinpoche, Lama Tsongkhapa. So according to the traditional Kamala Shila, the text should commence with an exposition of his tremendous good qualities. So this text here is composed by Lama Tsongkhapa, but it's based on the lamp on the path. So we'll see that this is where Lama Tsongkhapa turns to in terms of this first greatness.
니와 취기 체와 시대 강 세계 최디게는 개체의 연된의 개체 오래서 저 오래서.
And the second is the greatness of the Dharma.
난 숨바들라 저기 지들 시비 시징 년비 추시의 된망의 시도 경험이 해를 두스 년고를 해야지 바니 리바데 되는 년고를 되는 시고를 해서 두스는 아주 오래지래.
So the second greatness was the greatness of the Dharma, not in general, but that is to be explained in the text. And then third is advice on how the text should be presented and should be listened to.
지난해 뒤로와당 아주게 지난해 럽천로 시베네 럽천 deputy 셰리아 deputy 좀보보데 디리 세 좀보봉어들 시고로와다 좀보봉어들 시데 다 좀보보데 베고 벤 트럼랍라 게라치 뭐디네 템바레 그런 거 안지게 디그릴 마서 로정로 마서는 로시 데니스 장바레 세데 그런 게 장비기 캐셔다 그런 거 템비 좀보보 deputy 캐셔 강사디 연대다 차사시도 가르르스네 미 이시응구로 하고 오다 고 토럼로다 데니스틸 템바레 진고 로디기스 장바레 고 데니게 냠뇨요레 슬라기도 다 뎁디드 베하고 요레서 베삼로 응구로와 제자당보 뎁좀보보디 연대지야다 골로다 가지 짐바에 가와 짐 템바레 디지셔야 니베델라 온 뎁디 베하고 디나레 디니디니 시어디 롭선데 롭선 디디디 자요레 시어도 디니 and deputy in the lobby couple ya negasho order the slow or the lot had the saji on to shady and to chitan lobsende lob deputy low couple the slow or saji lot share your or that dampo dilo niva dilo se lot rimbaro share kitchen to share what on the nigi share your dina shin is or down to get che sheep because of gangashi share che 좀보보디게 연대주 줘봐이나 가상한테 뎁지도 그 뎁 좀보보디 그 연대주 그 장야 되지도 뎁 좀보보디 약보래 선배 지콜래야 빼야보래서도 또그 좀비 뎁들 너르고 말씀인 거야 진짜다 그 뎁 좀비 뎁디 연대주 뎁들 빼야보래 나디 장고도 선배리기로 와 근데 나디 장고도 선배리도 장나 되는 장고래 세시여도 된 장하대 하고 되는 약고용으로 어디 나신 직발이다 지도
These three greatnesses, this technique, it may on one hand seem a little alien, this technique from ancient India, but actually of these three, two of them certainly are still in common usage today. For example, when you're going to a bookshop and you're browsing, looking at books, and you read on the back cover, there will usually be a paragraph telling you about the author, or perhaps it'll be on the inner sleeve. And they'll be telling you about the author, why she is qualified to write this text, what her experiences are, what her education is, and so forth. And the purpose of that, like here, is to generate both an interest from the side of the prospective reader, as well as to generate a confidence in the authorship, the quality of the that the author is suitably qualified to compose this text. So that we see in our modern world too. And the second greatness we also see in our modern world, in that when you're reading the back cover of a book, it will tell you what is contained in this book and why it's useful, what the purpose of reading this book is, what knowledge will be gained, and what use that knowledge would be. And again, just like in the context of our text, the purpose is for the potential reader to gain some enthusiasm to engage in this text, especially if it's a volume of a substantial size. Then the third greatness, perhaps which is unique to this presentation, which is how you as the reader, or as the potential reader, should interact with this text. So there is that section will have to be found in the book, and it will present how one should engage as a reader in this text.
네네. 나데 저기 최셰바라 온도 디숨데 셰고레 세데 다디 셰바나 가려레세네 아니 년현들이야 안지게 좀바쁘게 캐시되어도 델레베야 오도세베 되바기야다 데니게 좀비기 뎁디기 안에지 캐시 빼지디기 캐시되어 오다디디 야고디 장고도 선배 삼는데 그래서 그래서 좀바보다 좀비기 뎁니기 캐시되어도 고요도 어디딩이 장고도가 신고고도 선배게 되니게 듬바기 영어로와 되니 듬바기에도 다 델레 롭존 치디캅라 롭존 지 림바딘데 장고레 세장하다 델이야 삼바 삼노 간스 키오레 세나 아주기 최시비 깝레네 최신인 집이 깝레나 남부 최시엔 다 라마다 상게려야 안에 그지 아주기 직 차차와다 네 최고 보여라서 봐 안되네 기지 안되네 소소게 롭존지 되네 롭존 집이 깝레야 근데 군로디야 안이 제바디 랑 랑semja korwe nyuma 탐제 동al 대외 지동 열로 장에서비 군롱 semja semja 탐제게 는 삼다 잡아도 군롱 계당 용거로와 디네게 군롱 계는데 장비기 자데 도스코고리 에사데 간주디 이 된다라 년보 벌이야 로려야 디장에가 되니기 듬베기야게.
The purpose of these three greatnesses is for the potential reader or receiver of a commentary to this text to firstly generate a trust in the author, seeing them as reliable and thereby enabling, encouraging the listener to open themselves, to make themselves receptive to what is presented here so that it can touch them, inspire them to transform themselves. And accompanying this is the second greatness of generating an inspiration, or first an interest in the topic, seeing it as relevant to their lives, and perhaps going deeper than that, generating a yearning to want to engage with this topic, to push away obstacles, and to wholeheartedly engage with the topic. Now with an inspiration, or aspiration rather, with an aspiration for this text having arisen, then the third greatness advises, firstly, how the listener should engage with the teaching, how they should interact with the text and the oral explanation. And there is advice for the one presenting the text, explaining the text, what procedures they need to, what qualifications they need, what procedures they need to go through, and in particular, the motivation that they need to generate, to cultivate, and ensure remains present throughout their exposition. A motivation of wanting to benefit not just their audience, but all sentient beings, and not to benefit them merely in a temporary way, but to guide them how to transform their minds and progress towards the attainment of enlightenment. So in brief, these three greatnesses are included so as to give rise to a yearning, an aspiration from the side of the student to engage in this text wholeheartedly with full and complete commitment.
jan George zibe Lamrim de ma an je jermi chigida soya sungorwa di soya shebala ne chiore sede.
In this particular text, as we see here in the text itself, it says that in accordance with that, this guide to the stage of the path to enlightenment has 4 parts. So this text, whilst composed by Lama Tsongkhapa, it's based on Lama Atisha's lamp on the path.
마셰게 최 람드레 디기 아니 쿵로지 가데가데 용어레스 데네 쿵 템비 치도 제바보 아니 체와 제바보 체와 템바스도 제바보 아니 아까소레 조지기 계시 연된 셰바스 오라 제 템바스 나 담가라 구바기 비치 추기 체와 템바스도 다 최들베 야고도 세지 데네 구바기 데려야 안 되니기 둠발해야 레야야 담가라 구바기 비치 추기 체와 템바 추기 연된 계시 된데 요래 해야 돼. 데네 체와니데 덴비기 최라 년시 지다시비 수요세 데니기 네 제법이 연된 네 키셔다 여봐 아니 최 코롱의 키셔 연된 데니기 여되게 최디 이제 마 냐야 냠법 간스 냐고를 시야라 간에 시야고를 해서 된 출지다 숨체 아니 시바디 가르스나 담아 모여서 로마지대 TV 수시의 제니게 담아 모여서 시에시 마 송진에 다산저 조지 선입 최종의 마 시에 고수제 로마디게 될이야 냠수 렌하기 렌주야 그림바디게 되지 다시 루시는 시요래지래.
So turning over the page in the text, we start with the first of the four parts that Lama Tsongkhapa has included in his text. So the very first is showing the greatness of the author, so as to demonstrate that this Dharma is a pure source. So whilst Lama Tsongkhapa is the author of the middle Lamrim, it is based on Lama Atisha's lamp for the path to enlightenment. So therefore, here in this first part, he talks about the qualities of Lama Atisha, so as to present the true source, the actual source, or rather maybe the direct source from which he drew inspiration to compose a text in this style. So therefore, whilst Lama Atisha is the author of this text, Lama Tsongkhapa is the author of this text, he discusses the qualities of Lama Atisha to show to his readers that the source from which he drew inspiration for this text is a pure source, a reliable source. Then the second greatness, showing the greatness of the Dharma so as to generate respect for the instructions, as it says there. This purpose of the second point, the second greatness, is similar to the first, to generate an aspiration in the mind of the student to want to engage in this text, not to be merely a passive recipient, but want the words to enter into their heart and to develop them so that they become integrated into the student's very way of being. And the third greatness, how the Dharma possesses these two greatnesses, should be listened to and explained. So this then, Lama Tsongkhapa will present advice to the students as well as advice for the teacher, so that the interaction with this text from both parties can be as beneficial as possible, with this interdependency between the propounder or the person who illuminates the text, as well as for the recipient, the person whom opens themselves to the text, how best for this interdependency to bring about the greatest result. And then finally, the stages by which a student should be guided through the actual instructions. So this then is how to train the various stages that the teacher will present and the student will receive in terms of training their own mind.
내 그런 게 다가스 직수해지는 최소해지는 시기면으로 선배기 도가 연구로 봐. 진짜 내가 주체셔야 돼. 나랑게 다가 삼수해지는 시기가 말해서 라마디기 좀베리 라마디 연대된시어 라마디기 좀베기 최딩의 시기를 해야 돼. 아주 콩디야 미시에게 최디 니데 디기 송구요래 딩의 시기를 해서 시대 아주게 소소게 장소 많이 봐. 아니 콩 땡부여봐 이 디시거로와 대사대 콩준바세도 콩땡보세고래.
Just talking a little further about the first greatness. The reason why Lama Tsongkhapa is talking about the greatness or the great qualities of Lama Atisha is to make it very clear to those who will later read this text that this text comes from a reliable source, a sound source, that therefore they can approach it with trust, with an open mind, rather than with doubt, wondering if this is some self-creation, whether this is reliable or not. So to help guide the student to be a receptive vessel, to be receptive to the qualities of this text, Lama Tsongkhapa talks about the great qualities of the author of the source material, Lama Atisha.
아딘마 제름죠 송고로와 담가 디 있어 담가 디 지리지진 정권기 온도be genji damwa yinla siro dadade jerim chegi gar sungor nge din ma ane kiwu cherin chung sumgel nyamning rimbege nyamning jidan rimba di ma shigyo damwa shigyo lo damwa shigo res zan di damwa di ane zawa ga khungdu go resne jijin jamba gombe zebege ondo yinya damwa la khungdu go res jide di shegi chedi kiwu sum lamyirbe nyambe rimba di jijin jamba gombe 오도 옛날에 손샤교지래서 왔다 뒤 손교기 단다도 마시고 그래지래.
Starting at the next outline, showing the greatness of the author so as to demonstrate that this Dharma is a pure source. Generally speaking, the present instructions are the ones that the Venerable Protector Maitreya gives in his Ornaments for Clear Knowledge, the Apasamaya Lamkara. So here Lama Tsongkhapa is saying that these, what we have here, these instructions, so sometimes this is often translated as pith instructions or spiritual instructions or meditation instructions, that these come from a reliable source. They come from Maitreya's expansive text, Ornament of Clear Realization. And so therefore, he once again is presenting the source that he is relying on for much of this text.
나 케버도 아니 디 흉니 자주 남유점마 인라 세대 세상에 셰게 기부 숨게 남유림베 냠네 림바 셰게 흉디 아나 셰게 흉디 가르레데 흉디니 자주 남유점마 인치들 참 가서 흉디 남유점 남르레에서 남르레에서
They are based specifically on lamp for the path to enlightenment. So what we're seeing here is that in the first sentence, Lama Tsongkhapa is saying his text is, in general, it's based on a text by Maitreya, but in particular, it's based on a text by Lama Atisha. So here he's pointing to the two primary sources that he relies on. Fundamentally, he's relying on a text by Lama Atisha, the lamp for the path to enlightenment. But as we progress, you'll see there's a lot of reliance on the text by Maitreya, the Ornaments of Clear Realization or Clear Knowledge.
데 제보보 딩이 소라 람른 제보보 딩이 소라 데 제보보 소데 람른 제보보 딩이 니야 제보보 인 제보보 소데 자 람른 제켄 제보보 딩이 안에 다등의 시에기 흉디기 제보보야 돼 소라 네 시에기 흉디 제보보레스 데 제보보 딩이 소데 람른 제보보 딩이 디 양 제보보 소데 다등의 시에기 흉디기 제보보야 돼스 딩이 딜레고 말 람른 제보보 딩이 소데 데 제보보 딩이 소데 람른 제보보 딩이 네 시에기 흉디기 제보보야 돼스 디 제보보야 이노스.
And it continues, so that its author is also the author of the present text. So the way to understand this is, Lama Tsongkhapa here is saying that the author of the source material, Lama Atisha, who composed the Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment, he is the author of the source material for this text that I am writing.
디 흉디 네 셰게 흉디 제보보 지진점 람림 딩 좀보보데레 그래 랍다 다디 네 제보보 네 셰게 흉디 랍드 람림 딩디를 가지고 시교 말아 네 셰게 흉디 제보보디 람림 딩 제보보레 딩 제보보데레 그래서 지진 제람으로서 답하래 사실 시교로 봐 다들 땡이지 대별 저거다 지상에 니디라 봐나 땡이시에게 슝디 제보보디 제르미치레 사시 시교로 와다.
So to understand this, because what we see in the translation maybe isn't entirely clear, so again is expanding. He's commenting on this line so that its author is also the author of the present text. To explain this, I can give an analogy, and it's like saying the author of this text that I'm teaching is the author of the middle Lamrim. So in this way, he's indicating that, so if again is now saying that he is explaining this text, and the author of this text that he is explaining is the author of the middle Lamrim. So that is similar to what has been presented here.
주제 순고로 와다 제름제 동안 두신 제름제 순고로 와 제름제 슝디세 다드 슝디세 람드 슝디 제름제 슝디 제법보디 람드 제법보디 레다 제도 람드 슝디로 와다 제름제 람드 슝디 셰 두신 고스고로와 지들 남는 슝데요로와 지들 제름 붙이 가르송 거라서는 이 셰게 슝디 제법 수레 남나 남른 제법보디레 이 셰게 슝디 제법보디 수레 남나 남른 숭한 제법보디레 남른 제법보디레 그래서 다시 세우셔서
So now Genla is role-playing as if he were speaking as Lama Tsongkhapa and holding up Atisha's lamp for the path of enlightenment. So Lama Tsongkhapa would say, the author of the source of my text is the author of this text, the lamp for the path to enlightenment.
Bendigo 결혼 가사대 왕 누구지 제지 누구도 비슷한 거로 결혼해. 이 누구도 결혼한테 누구도 레다 하셔야지. 이 중에 비슷한 누구디 랍데 결혼한테 누구라고 말아. 누구디 결혼한테 레라고 와. 어디 나신 대비 인육다 결혼한테 누구도 레대로 와. 뒤에서는 누구디 결혼한테 누구도 레라고 와. 제가 대비 세도다 내시에 슝디스도 남도 슝디레다. 디 안에 제법의 수레에서는 가서래 남른 제법보 안에 조지레 세송거다.
Try this illustration. I see if it works. So, for example, yesterday, Geshe says to me, you gave me a pen. If you had given me a pen to use, then I would have said, oh, this is the pen that Dorje gave me to use. So that is similar, because what Lama Tsongkhapa is saying here, this text that I've written, its source material is this text, Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment, and whose author is Lama Atisha.
디 자주 람르 레 사직 라바나 디고마 케버도 슝 디니 세도 람름 징슝 디니 자주 람뉴트 마레 다디 제보 데 제보보 디니 세도 람름 제보보 디니 람름 징 제보보야 레 람나 디니 고해게 냐나도와 디람 따다 차고 말해제.
So if you're wondering why I'm going on a little bit about this sentence, so that its author is also the author of the present text, is because confusion may well come from this. So I want to prevent a misunderstanding, because we're talking about two different texts. One is the middle Lamrim, the other is Lamp for the Path. And the author of the source material is Lama Atisha, and the author of this text is Lama Tsongkhapa.
제가 개발도 슝디 시대가도 고야를 가서 제르미 지금 슝요도 갑라 때 개발도 슝디 시대 자주 람림 딩디 세도 고야게 냐가요래 니고나 슝디 세대 자주 슝디 세대가도 세와 제디 갑라 개발도 슝디 시비 슝디데 가레스 저왔던 거다 람림 딩디레베 람드레 슝샤다 가레스 파 심지시에로 다디 슝디 세 슝디 람림 딩레 람나 ane janju lam yu zhenba yinbe se je janju lam zhen re sung duwa 제가 람림 징디 람림 마르와선 주얼리 거로와다 제바도 슝디 라르와 슝디 세 슝디 가기레스 슝니 말에 슝디니 디 슝니 소로와 슝니 세 슝디 빼제지 기시오로 슝디 가르레 람나 람림 징레베 람림 쳔보레 람르레 온도게레 가기레 세 슝디 바이 제지 제시오로와 제지 제바이나 가르로스나 lamrim jingre lamna shungdi lamrim jingdi 가서 제름 지 숨고르와 제름 좀 얘기 lamrim 중래 사지 고야기 냥아 요르와 디 고바이나 안에 가서 shungdi 가래 랍샤 자주 람르 인 랍도와 제자 제름 지 좀비 lamrim jingdi lamrim 마르와다 lam르 인나 지진 가소레 디르와 lamrim jingdi 수유 좀 바래 지바래라나 좀 바래라나 제름 좀 바마다 lamrim 가소레 조지 좀 마르와
So where we have here, they are based specifically on lamp for the path to enlightenment. So what is being referenced here is this text that Lama Tsongkhapa is composing is based on lamp for the path to enlightenment. One shouldn't get confused and wonder, is he saying Lama Atisha is the author of the middle Lamrim, or is he making some other claim? It may sound unclear, but he's referring to the source material of his text as being the text composed by Lama Atisha.
나던다랑에 가르치고서는 캐버라도 디중 세대 지진 제르미 송야기 마셰기 슝디 가르라는 람드는 고슝 세대 가르 람드는 고고레스 람드레스 디 람드 임베 송도와 안제자다 디 제법은 디 양선 디디 가르서는 지지 제목은 송 말에 제르미치 마 송야기 슝디로와 슝디 아니 제법어디 가르 람드레스 람드 제법어레스 데 가제레 제르미치 송야기 슝디 람드 송고레 네 람드 네 송야기 네 셰야기 슝디기 제법어디 람드 제법어레 제상 네 셰야기 슝데다 람드 니데 카가 말에 직바레서 월다던다라.
So now maybe to present it in a way that is very clear, Lama Tsongkhapa is saying, do not see my text, the middle Lamrim, and Lama Atisha's text, Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment, as being unrelated, completely separate. You should see that the one arises from the other. So to express that differently, the one that I, Lama Tsongkhapa, have composed is an expansion of the abbreviated presentation by Lama Tsongkhapa, Lama Atisha. So see my text as arising from the source material. Don't see them as two distinct texts.
And nala then ma chik di shung se de kare lamna lamdren yes or di yang se di kare di se de kare lana lamdren yes or that dinika.
And therefore we should understand this as saying that the source materials, lamp for the path, and that should be seen as not separate from this, and the source material is composed by Lama Atisha.
아도시야. 나 되네. 대양서 난 되네게 난 람든 제법어 슝디 제법어 대양서라. 대양 르빈 쳔보 디범가라 제나시리 천신 빨린 아디샤 시용소 잡아대. 시도 제사다 슝디 제법어디 안민 수레란 대양 르빈 쳔보 디범가라 제나시리스 민 천직디데 천신달라 빨리 아티샤라 그래스 시용수 잡아 차상이야 용소를 되네라 고레스 빨리 아티샤 시고 송고레지래 천들.
And it continues, other than under the name of the great master Dipankara Shriyana, he is also widely known as the glorious Atisha.
나디 그래서 빨리 아티샤체 진짜 나디기 계셔 연된 주고래 진짜 디 채와라 숨시다 채와라 셰레 된서 숨유권의 시고래세네 된서 숨유권의 시기리 참바 숨유권의 시기인셔래 채와라 숨라기도 채와라 숨라도 숨디 된서 숨유권의 시기인셔래 셰기 된서 말매 chewa sheba de chewa lo sumyo re la re jesan chewa se desen sum di shi yin so la sumyo re la re.
So here we see Lama Tsongkhapa starting to engage in the presentation of the first of the greatnesses, talking about the greatness of the author of the source material. Hence, he's starting to talk about Lama Atisha.
Di keshe she de chewa di chewa san keshe she de sum rik pun sum choba se de ho gewe gap so ne rik kan ne se ki go rik den ke ba se rik yu ko ne she ya. De yuan den nie bi su se ne yuan den lobsang den de she yo se da. Ne nie yuan den zhang chen ne xian le den ba le pen do har kar ji den de she yo le se de she de da de che se rik. yuan den zhang chen ne xian de le pan do har kar ji yo le se de xian de pan do har ji yo le lo ya ga ji yo le se shi wa da.
And again, I hasn't read it, but as we see, as it follows, in presenting the greatness of Lama Atisha, he first talks about the greatness of the lineage in which, or the family in which he was born. Secondly, his tremendous good qualities that he cultivated. And thirdly, how he utilized his life and his good qualities to be of great benefit to others.
rik punzon choba gewa shibe tsuyu se rik punzon choba le gewa len na de len ba re se di ko chi che den de la yun den ni be tsuyu se de ni den de le lob jong chi yun den de jang yo re se jue ji che ni ne ze yun den zu ba jang chan ne den ba la jawa chi be tsuyu che sang yi den ba la jue xie che an xian le pan bo zhu da di ko de zhu ba re se.
Concluding the paragraph, his greatness is threefold: how he took birth in an excellent family, firstly, how he obtained his excellent qualities on that basis, and thirdly, how he performed deeds for the sake of the teachings after obtaining the excellent qualities.
Dena Tsongkhapa chenpo yes bitamani purani di una gebe kap porang shindu yangba ye seyi gechen jenshe jas ne longju ngatang jowa ne yana donggun gebo cha yudi gebe gewe ba zunbo wese zunmo se bamo wese chen yabim ni la seso ngas.
So looking at the next outline, so we'll go from pages 2 to 3. How Atisha took birth in an excellent family, according to the great Losawa's praise. Due east in the excellent country of Sahor lies a country of great size, namely Vikaramanpira. In its midst is the royal court, an extremely spacious palace called the One with Golden Banners. Its pleasures, might, and riches rival those of Chinese emperors. King of that land is Kalya Nasri, and his queen is Sri Patra. The royal couple has 3 sons.
Na lo zhe de ba de le xia shuo sa ho yu chuo na xie de ya xia shuo le ya yu sa ho se de yu xiu le se de na di xiu se yu xia chuo le ya sa ho se de ni ga so de jiu ji chu se yu de lu ba de se ji xie wo le ho de le chung wa le se de se sa Nang zila de Australia se gihap chi yore, di nanglo liya melon se di nga chi yore, and di nanglo liya di ni chi yore, and del gyaware se chi yore, and di na shi re da, o xia cho se, cho di cho shi ne, cho kawai de, xia yu cho de la se, and del yu ga re yos na, yu de mi sa hor se di lumba sa chi yore, de cho se de be yak bu shi yu cho de yu ba se de, bene da yu ya bu shu shu re se de kor yu de ye da sa jia da zang ma da an de ne yu ro da de ne ge be ya bu shu re sa.
Due east in the excellent country of Sahor. So this is where Lama Atisha was born. So it's in eastern India, and it's in a place of particular outstanding natural beauty, hence being referred to as an excellent country. So perhaps you were being asked to describe where you're born, and you'd say a particular suburb in Melbourne, and the person didn't know where that suburb was, then you'd say, it's in the east of the city. And that would give them a general idea of where your place of birth. So too with this description here.
That's Sahora Sebe Udela and the Dronker Chimbuchiore, so the Diagnosi Yasanajment, Dronker Chimbuchiore, the Dronker Chimbu, yes, or then now Dronker Chimbo, the Dronker Chimbuchiore, yes, that Dronker Chimbo, the Mingarella was a bitter manipura, or Eje, Mingdi.
And in this excellent country in the east of India lies or lay a great city, namely Vikaramanipura. And so this was a great city for its time.
That Dronker Bidamanipura, Sibi Dronker di Gilia, and gave a cup to yours, gave a pora, gave a cup, and gave a shusaki, and such as your a cup, gave a cup. Dela and Porang Shindu young boys, the gave a come bed, they go chimbo young, Guyango shoes your essay or that.
In its midst is the royal court, an extremely spacious palace. So it seems that the city was built around the palace, with the palace being in the middle of the city.
Now, give you Porang to your Yunde or that Yunde got yours. Kandas Sergi gave you Jensha, so the bad gave you Poran Zikbush and Delma Sergi didn't give you that the next Sergi social shoes your ass, and that you Uranema gave you Kambati Zikushu Yungdo, the Sergi, the Seratan Muda, the Neg, or that Sergi gave you bit in the shoes your ass.
Described as a spacious palace called the one with golden banners. So you'll know from history that kings decked their palaces were quite splendid and magnificent. So here just the mere name invokes how beautiful and magnificent the residence must have been.
Benjur can Benjur Bear, Yago, launching Athang Joanis. Longe Pasu Gebo in that George Trunsaki Pama, such a Gebo di Gebu, di Gebo short, Gebo de la Porang Kangba didn't do your that Benjur Longe didn't show your said Atan Jova, she your as a Longe Atan Jova knees.
And amongst the many kingdoms in India at the time, this one stood out for its pleasures, might and riches. So this palace within Sahor was quite outstanding at the time.
This now Jana Donkun Gebota said, Di Kapsu Janalia Donkun Gebo says Yosarwa, that the Benjur she was Jeda Yosi Sarwa di Kapla. Jesa the Nigis that they George Trunsaki, such a Gebo Diki, Benjo di Canisior as a bad Jachimbu, bad Guchur Lazarva, Canayor Jana and Gebo, Tongun Siadiki, Benjona Yobana, Konajan Guchur, such a hero. It's not Diko, so Jana, Tongun Gebo, such a Gebo, the deep Benjo shoe, yours and Pocket Lumbana, Geta Yusarwa, Yura, Cisa, O down and the Poradi and George Trunsaki gave you Poradi. And it did Benjo top George, the kind of your Jana Gebo Tongunya, Tongun Gebonas, Yorda, as she was.
And so maybe correct that translation, the last line, where it says its pleasures, might, and riches rival those of the Chinese emperor. Then we just have the Tibetan name, Tongkun Gyalpo. So it's a particular Chinese emperor who would have had a reputation for being very wealthy and having a spectacular palace, and it's then said that the palace in Vikaramanipura would have rivaled that of the Chinese emperor Tongkun Gyalpo.
And the Nigi Gebo Degi Minga Galagorelana, Yuldi Gebo Geopals, Gebo de Mingla Geopalagores. That the country George Pala did that, Digo to Gebo Chadro, so the Ming Gebo de Mingalorson, Geopalagors, Gevipal, Gebo.
This is describing Atisha's background. So we're in the next paragraph, king of that land is Kelya Nasri. That would have been his father. And his mother, the queen, was Sri Prabha. And we even find out that they had 3 sons.
And
there we have their 3 names, Padmagara, Chandragarbha, and Sri Garbha. So these are the names of their 3 sons. And the biography continues. So of those 3 sons, again Prince Padmagarbha has 5 royal consorts and 9 sons. The oldest one is named Punyarshi. And this eldest son is a great Pandita. And there's his name, he's widely known as Dhanashri. And so we continuing to look at these children. So the youngest brother is Sri Garbha. So this is going back then to the 3rd paragraph, maybe it's above or on the previous page. Sri Garbha, he is a bhikshu, a monk called Virachandra, and the middle one is Chandragarbha, and he is our exalted guru. So this then is referring back in the 3rd paragraph where we see the other princes' names. And
Dada Lama Jesu ins. Jeza Jing Davini Bosedi, Dada Lama Jesu ins, Sida, Jesu ins, She Chunga Tarino, Sida. And you got that Yangeshan, you got choosing.
So there we go now. We see, we've heard about his family, his lineage that he was, Lama Atisha was born into, and his royal name of Chandragarbha.
And Georgie the Cantus Tuares, Nago, Saja Shasho de la Udinis Yore, the Jonker Chimposhu, Yores, Bear, Master Jonker, Yawa Chimpochures, the Jonker de la Udinis Yores, and Digi Udelia, Gebik Poranchiores, Gebik. Yabochigores, Yabim, Yabochir, Porampe, Mazigo Yabukampa Yawores, Benjur Gachimoshu, Chubushu, Jazan George Delia Tumbares, Bunyala Masona, Bunya Yores, then the Danala, Tweg Yuda, Tunsi Yuda, Tunyegi, Pamadan, Pamani, Dobjorda, you Benjorda, and then it in the Yores, and then she did that, Georgie.
Just like today we can read biographies of famous people, here we see Lama Atisha. We learn about his background, that he was born into a royal family, and not just any royal family, but one with wealth and power. And so as a prince, as a young man, he would have had a very comfortable life of wealth and influence.
That me did on the design that they were me chike Baba Amadan, Baba Bala Amala dike, Be chike, Guchu, but I Benjur Chimbo, Ming Chimbo, Guane Chimbo, Yevaina, 네 부들랑 하나 저 투어들 라신이 하나 저 구제 피거로와 맞도 걸 지금 내내 하 뭐가나 미투어데 안지게 통주 다야게 내가요 야시다면서 통주 다야 내내게다 깨라 첨보를 했을 때 빠바마다 내내게 깨라 첨보 부디게 요도 강존에 따가 주고로 와대 빠가 부디가 내시데 지칼람데 투신 라고 투시베다 어당아 라고 투야라서 생각도 보고 쉬지고로 니나 진짜 내내긴사 녀만에 되는 경우 연구로 와도 개비 부구래 시리 예보래 또주 개보 또주 첨부 부구래다 라면도 부구도 오다 부구들 빼야고로 서는 첨부 쉬우로 왕당 첨부로 와서 남산 부구들이야 먼저 그직 떠나기야다 안지리야 안지 가고 거미 가와기에게 연구로 와 되네 자고 이 바바메기 캐셔 되네 바바 되네 개보 되네 개보래 또주 되네 요래서 시험해도 김새로 뒤로와
The way to relate to this, as with the entire text, is on a personal level. And so therefore we can read this, read his biography, and recognize that actually not so much has changed these days, because the purpose of this having been recorded for so long is that then, just like now, if we were to meet someone who came from famous parents, perhaps had either achieved a lot or they were actual royalty, and this person that we were to meet was a prince, and we were to have the opportunity to shake their hand, we'd be very pleased. We may want a photograph taken, we'd certainly tell other people about it, and we'd be very happy for ourselves. So we see here that when someone is born into such a lineage, into such a family, that they are treated in a particular way, people are immediately open and receptive towards them, want to engage with them. And if we had such a person visit us here, for sure we'd pay special attention to them, make sure their needs are met, and this is no different from how it was back in the 7th century.
강주 마주 마찬가지 강지래 고 연대 약보 차야도 롭조 약보라 고합 약보 되는 미 약보 차야다 아니 지게 통침보 차야지 마오바나 되니기 안제라 침보 차야지 고 망체의 용도와 니나시레다 녀마게 제보되는 기비 부분에 고 아니 강주 마주 마셔봐지 바 띵보 줘야다 내가 약보 용하다 아니 지게 한 니버 침보 차야기 되는 용구요 바인자 난 되니기 기비기 채워 줘야 돼 라신징아서
Also today, children of parents who are famous, we know that they will have opportunities for excellent education. People will readily want to help them, be associated with them, and therefore for them, many doors open. And if they have a kind heart, a wish to benefit, they can use their or their ease of access to education and to other powerful people. They can use these skills to benefit others. So if they have then also good internal qualities, they really can make a difference with their life.
다저저 롭장 간에 시에서 연된 입이 출라 니용으로 가서 망도 캠바 룽구 연된 입이 수이다 아니 수준 주비게 주바 또베 연된 입이 수이세다 롭장 데네데네 제리에 사디 망도 튀어봐 룽구 연된 데네데 롭장 데네데 튀어봐래 데네 롭장 제거래서 제네 소수인 냠는 도수 곰데네 capture 똑바데네 끼와래 세 어두스네 주야요래세래
Continuing in the text, how to bottom of page 3, how Atisha obtained his excellent qualities on that basis. This has two parts: how he obtained the excellent qualities of vast scriptural knowledge, and secondly, how he obtained the excellent qualities of realization of its correct accomplishment. In other words, not only did he study well and gather vast knowledge, but he integrated that within himself, transforming his mind.
사단 윤된 장비기 니비 주되라 가소래 다가래 장와래라네 뒤로인 뒤지가지 장와서 로니슈 자식 나 춘셰야 가르 장와스니 치바당 낭비 낭리베니 풍소 투모와당 투모와 자당 댄식릭바 장와래서 소당 소어릭바 실라 장배 캐버 풀루침바 유루세데 로니슈 자지 린라 아니 치르비기 아니 롭종 가르가르치 덴죄다 데네게 파지 치르비기 바낭 치르바다 낭되 낭비기 아니 리비고려장 안 투모와 데네 자르바세 간소이 데냥아 손다샤다 덴시리바 나저기 고 심지 제바제리 제바제야 덴시리바 도샤 아니 소리바 가소소 제 컴버스야 라소바다 데네기시 신스 다마라 소리지 좀 소리바 도샤바레 아니 소리바시 메니고 도샤 제수 장배 장발레 샹데 베드메세 캐바 차바레 소리비 질빈 치르비기 흉레 파 장제 치르비 흉데레 캐바 낭리비기 낭비리바 파자디아치 캐바 차바레스 아니 소 면제제기 메니리비 면제기 캐바 차바레스 아니 덴시리바다 캐바 샤바르 지난 데네게 장제 소다 소아리바 차산이야 캐바 풀루치 바싱와레스 캐바 시우 장와 중화레스.
By the age of 21, Atisha had studied the 4 areas of knowledge common to both Buddhists and non-Buddhists. And here we can see from how the sentence ends, he didn't just perhaps as a wealthy child, engage in education. He really applied himself and he excelled. He did so in languages, in logical reasoning, crafts and medicine. So crafts then we can also understand broadly, whether it's from construction as well as to making implements of the day. In all these areas, he applied himself and excelled.
And 개발도 로종아 시비게체 아니 릭틱 차르지 셈베 센네 치르비게 도교와 개발을 잡에 지다 제데 데 판바르제스 지나다 로종아 데 로니주 자지차와 이 자지말레 로종아 링라 장제 능력이 된식 장화자 디 장발 때네 안지 참마릭틱세데 참마릭틱세지 참마지어레 언딜 바 차르지 로종아 제데 베마스 캐바 차바레스 차르지 셈베 라미에서는 바 차르지 롭 년제 생야데 배 캐바잖아 아니 치르비게 캐바질 바 도겨와 지대 바 군이 네 캐바질 바 젠두르지 바 쩌버쩌바레스 쩌버쩌비 갑라 쩌네 아니 다디디 조지기 매 거제제 톱제 지디 치르바데 판바세 바레스 다 데니게 디가 수두시네 게라디는 요레서 그러.
And to make the point that Atisha, or says no then, Tsongkhapa, wasn't merely exposed to education because of his birth, but he applied himself and excelled. We have the next sentence. In particular, the great Drolungpa relates how at the age of 15, Atisha heard Dharmakirti's drop of reasoning just once, and then defeated in debate a non-Buddhist intellectual renowned for his erudication. So here we gained an insight into his intellect, as well as the power of his imprints, that he heard this Dharma text merely once, and he was able to grasp its meaning sufficiently so that he could overturn wrong views in others. And the paragraph concludes, this spread Atisha's fame far and wide.
게다로 소문은 류 차상이야. 어다 조셰세 되게 니게 안에 치료비 캐바 대단님들 제바제 니게 토브레 세네 다베기 직디하고 쇼지라 게라 침보레스는 는 차상도 세네 군도 캬바레 유 차상을 봐 도시네 개고를 송라고레스 되네게 디수수 말에서 조롱바 침베 송소선 조롱바세 거의 되네게 캬브라 되네데 중화레스 조롱바 송바레스.
So from this presentation from the great Drolungpa, we can understand when Atisha or Tsongkhapa was merely a teenager at age 15, he was already an outstanding student. He was no ordinary prince, but he was someone really quite remarkable, and therefore he quickly became famous, widely renowned for his intellect and other qualities.
데네 자다 윤된 자야기 주스티네 로니쇼 자지르는 장바레 데네게 자야데 흉데네 장바레 제조 장발 빼마서 캐바침 뭐 차바레 네게다 침부레 세데 나 윤된 데네데 요레 세데 마슈 차지 나 데네 자네 템발이야 판도 가르치요레 라데다 레갈 마son 제제 칸도 판도 가르치요레 세데 데슈야데라 데네 Rinakbu Zula Kange Nanjuye Wangchuk Bayu Doje Shesik. Doje Karumi Lungten No Tobike Lama Rahula Gupta La Wang Yongsu Zoba Shushings Sangchen Yishi Sangyu Dorje Shejawa Date Eser.
That paragraph then deals with his qualities as a youth, as a young person. Then, still young, we have a presentation of his furthering education on the Dharma. So, hopefully, this is still here. Yeah. Then he requested a complete empowerment from the glorious master yogi of the main temple on Black Mountain, the Guru Rahul Gupta, who had received direct visions of Vajra and a prophecy from Vajra Dakini, and he was given the secret name of Yanaguya Vajra.
Zanda Nyamlin Jesegi Delia and Saji Ming de Rinabo Zugla Kang Sedelia, Rinabo Saji Delia, and Gombachi Zula, Gombachi or Regere, Chesangumba Kangi. Neju Delia Gomje Nyamlin Chidu Kabla and the Karashesi Bares, Neju wants you pay Gedorjes, Gedorje said Shasi Bares or Gedorje, the short Gedorje said Shasi Bares.
As we see here, he requested and received initiation at a place called Black Mountain, and it was perhaps a monastery on this mountain called Black Mountain, where he received requested initiation.
Want you bear said you that get Dorjiki and the Kishu want you said another door said that get Dorje that want you and the bear Masigi knew by the bear. Yunden da denba Geshe Dorje said Geshe Dorje Kishu Yunden Shepherd want you bell Geshe Dorje said Jazan the Niki Geshe Dorje Shasi Party. Dandala Geshe Dorje Shasi Party is the word. Knew the Geshe Dorje Kishu so better denba the Niki and the want you the Shasi Party such. Kawan should be Kishu Mardelia want you to bear Geshe Dorje Shasi Parties. One should be Kishu Marda. The Niki Rinabo de Yusa de la Zula Hanjures, Delia, and Yamlin Gomjavres, or Gomjab and Karishi Sushes over as Nelju, you want you said, Danga to get Yamlin Chiki, so want you said, so Nelju, you want Yamlin Chiki, want you so like me Kishi Chekores, and me Gabo, Subu Yabo, Ning Jewu, Tucson, let me Kishi or Dinashi. Gedorji Kishu Lagora, Nanju want you, the Nanju by Nemliji want you so by Yundana Demba, Gedorji Shasi Bares or Shasi Bares or Sushasi Bar, the Gedorji Shasi Barella or Gedorji Cares and Nanju by Nemliji and you so res, and then put Soba Demba, said the Kishi the Shihon. Tis not the Niki Kishi the Dembigi, Gedorji the Shasi Bares or. Na Rinabo de la Zula Kanglia and the George Yamlin Jebi Gab Gom Jebi Gom Jemne Shus Shasi Bares, Gedorje Shasi Bares or Chesan George and Shasi Bares or George and Beni Rinabo Zula Handel Pa Chinje Gom Jarwada, Gom Jadu, Yamne Gom Jashudu, and Idam Shasi Bares, Shus Shavarelana, Gedorje Shasi Bares or Gedorje said the Ganesh and Nyamlin Najoban and you saw it, won't you saw one saw Najogi, won't you said, saw it is. Gedorji in Delagore, Chesa. Sushasi Bares and Gedorji Shasi Bares or Chesa Gedorji Shasi and Gedorji said the Ganesh Yores and Najogi Nyamlin Banam you saw. And you then put some soap at the Demba, said better Demba, said Dennis Yores or.
Actually, while Lama Atisha was at this perhaps monastery on the Black Mountain, he went there to meditate, and he himself also gained a direct vision of Vajra there. And Hevajra, he related to Hevajra as a, how would you say? So Hevajra, which is a powerful yogin, is how he related to, these are the qualities of Hevajra, which I'm not really understanding, but anyway, the qualities of Hevajra is that of a particularly powerful yoga.
Bendigo.
Okay.
Ye dorji yenden chi yorwa da ye dorji sa kan sho ki ben dorji ji ji sha sik so sa dorji ji ji sa de kan sho re se de dorji ji ji sa pe ma se bi ge ji kan zu ge du bi ge ben du ba du bi ge che du she dang dorji sa pe ma se ge ji chue yuen na ba chen ji yo re sa ji yorwa da ji san di na xin sung go wa ji san ye dorji sha sik ba re se de da ye dorji sa kan sho re se ye dorji sa de na ju yu 지금 냠내 변하는 조레스 배단 배세도 배세도 연된 푸수 소바 냠내기 연된 푸수 소바 댐바 내 내게 원치 조어들이 해서 다 거기 계셔로지 심으로와.
So let's try to get this a bit clearer. So when he was meditating on the Black Mountain, he had direct visions of Hevajra, and he through his visions of Hevajra, he developed qualities that would make him outstanding as a particularly powerful yogin.
세상아 저기 개바친 뭐지 지금 민지고들 맨날 야월음철에 야본 영화 탐지에 계제 지바 첨보서는 민망부라고도 아니도 야월음체 개와 댄싱 개소라고 세상 디 개와 댄싱 개소다 가서 지나라 민디 제가 도르두셔 댄싱 개소로 세상 다 될이야 계슈에 자지마 성유도 근데 지금 가서래 파파 전제식에 남투 개와 댄싱 영화 탐지에 계제 지바 첨보 지진 전배 나와 로상 이些댄싱 개소는 될이야 계슈 망부저 개와 댄싱 개소기시 디 연된의 주 연된 계슈 된데 댄비가 라마드스로와 인디나 신아 저기 세버리 미실라 자요 술리네 자요 안술래 자요 근데 디자요로와 당어지 디나 셰제네 데네 연자소다 데안들라 어다 코노즈 디미 데네쇼데 지금 데네게 상고에다 롭종인데 데네게 샤일라 판도제 데네 요레세 시야도 고 케주데 잔죠 디나지데 셰세데 수샤지와스 대쇼 게더제세 이담 게더제세 샤시 바레시로와 이담 게더제세 샤시가도 다 이담 게더 샤시 바레스 고 게더제라나 고 나저 파베 민루 차용으로와 델레 연된 자세 난저기 와주고 아니 연된이 빠다데 연 푸선 소바 배 냠는 배나는 조 아니 연된 푸선 소바데 덴바 데네 게더제세 샤시 바레스 그런 게 연진이 죄제 게더제 연된 데네데 요 연된 죄비 토네 안 게더제 샤시 바레스 게더제 숨어라 다자사야.
Okay, maybe fourth time right. This time will be clear. The others just erase. On Black Mountain, Atisha were engaged in meditation, and he gained a direct vision of Hevajra. And Hevajra, he could be praised as being like the Lord of Yogins. So the way to understand this praise towards the deity Hevajra as being the Lord of Yogins is, for example, perhaps, again I didn't say, but perhaps like in the mandala offering or elsewhere, when we all chant praises to His Holiness, and there'll be a whole list of qualities that His Holiness is praised for possessing, and it will end with His name, Tenzin Gyatso. And just like perhaps if we were to talk about Tsepel or Gyatso, and talk about their many qualities, we'd mention all their qualities and then their name. So in a similar way here, with the deity Hevajra, his praise is the quality of being a Lord of Yogins.
지난 디네셰베는 야 미들이야 녀엘이야 야가다 니용고라 지난데 마주게 지진 잼배야나 상예가 가상 빠세 왕추사 가상 상예 점된 데를 시소하데 디나시 고 연된다 빠다 연된 푼수 소바 데네게 덴비게 라마세야다 데네게 덴비게 이담세야다 이 진나주기 조 냠는 연된 빠도메바 덴비 이담세야다 라마세야다 데네 키슈션의 순고래 진짜 유던달라 예도제 샤식바래라 거래.
The purpose is when communicating to someone, if you're communicating about something of great value, of great benefit, you want to communicate that in a way so that the person you're talking to understands so. So if one just refers to Herr Vajra, it perhaps won't have such an impact than if you refer to Herr Vajra, the Lord of Yogins. Then that would perhaps have a more powerful impact on the mind. Just like if going through all the qualities of His Holiness, then ending with His name, this will have an impact. Likewise also when talking about the Buddha and talking about all His many good qualities, this has an impact on the listener's name, on the listener, causing them to recognize the many great qualities of the person that one is talking about.
라마다 이담게 연된 주변에 지키 민데 찬데 모양도 먼저 가려서나 라마게 연된 되는지 여러와 선비를 연된 되는데 여 소소레 셈나 라마메 소와데 라마리아 이시단 대바디 슈크처 용고래 지산 기에도제 샤식 바레라데 아니가 제시와레 뒤섬레 마들레만 기에도제 연된 주변에 샤식 바레서도 기에도제 연된 되는지라 이담 기에도제 사들이야 연된 되는지도와 안지 뉴바 되는지도와 빼마서 야구로와 선비게 되는게 샤시나 선비게 이시기 데려야다. 제가 연된 주변에 돈에 수연한 빠도매 봤어야 돼. 근데 용교 봐서 민 양바서 마저 데려 연된 주에 연된 디스트 덴비 돈에 천매고 거래. 스매 봐서 데려 수연한 빠도매 봤어야 데려야 대바께 하고도 대바 슈셔 줘야게 마저래디 용거디 자디 연된 주변에 돈에 민디 먹어와.
It's quite common when talking about holy beings. One will praise their good qualities. So if you're talking about one's own Lama, one will express his many good qualities, and one will do so as an expression of one's own faith or trust in him, and also through expressing it, it serves to deepen our relationship, the way we feel towards him. And then secondly, it serves the purpose of accumulating merit through praising the qualities of holy beings.
나한테 서버림체 서버 생원인도 서버림체로와 지선 서버림체를 겹치 서버림체에서다 지선 겹다 제다 선데 겹시도가 세상에 동화를 겹긴 겹리 안에 제시도 다 최순간게 된가들 디넥신의 조르에서 겹제에서 파 연된 주비 돈에 서버림체에서도 아직은 겹치 서버림체에서도 연된 주비 돈에 서버림체에서 참여하고 지선 디 개발을 주대 겹세야 돼. 아주 포에 동할 농 겹칸세야 돼. 겹로와 진짜 겹제세도 겹제서 그러면 순고로 진짜 겹제서 거기 동할량 아주 교고래 아니 최순계 남주 땡긴 조를 개번하시지 진짜 되네서 그러면 시에서도 진짜 계셔 연된 주비 돈에 참여고로와 어디니 뭐가 디나진 찍버려다 저 빨리 와주 개더셔야 돼.
For example, Sopa Rinpoche, that's his name with the title Rinpoche attached. But when we talk about him, we'd often utilize his the fuller title that he was later bestowed, that of Kyabche. So Kyabche refers to the Kyab. This is as in protector or refuge. And then it's the same word translated in different ways. And then J, as in J Rinpoche. So this is an honorific such as Lord, or some often translated as Lord. So you could say maybe the Lord Protector, the Lord Refuge, Lama, Sopa Rinpoche.
Dorje Kadromigi, Lungden Topiki, Yesa, Lama Rahula, Guptala, Wang Yosoba Dish. Dala Wang the Susan Shubares and Kid Dorje Wang. I get a share city, the sugar Wang the Susan Shubasina, Lama Rahula Gupta said it isn't Shubares. Tisa Lama Rahula Gupta said the Kandoman you Lungden Big, Lungde or as Lamadi and Denike, Garso Pemase Yawota, and it. 대쇼게 냠내데 데니고 온나야 야고서 칸르베기 룽덴 요디 룽덴 술 조절 룽덴 시고마다 카조만 카조바남지 라마라홀라 룽덴바 lungden topege lungden topege lama rahula jile dizen wang shubare wang su zele shubasene lama gubda rahula jile wang yang su zobo shubare chasang shubare ese.
Just reading the sentence again. Then he requested a complete empowerment, so that is of Hevajra, from the glorious master yogi at the main temple on Black Mountain, the Guru Rahul Gupta. So just to say that we have here the glorious master yogi, this then should rather be relating to the deity Hevajra that Lama Atisha, whose empowerment Lama Atisha requested to receive. So we see in the translation the superlative, the glorious master yogi, is applied to the Guru Rahul Gupta, but rather that should be applied to the deity Hevajra that Lama Atisha requested to receive the initiation of. And then the sentence continues, who has received direct visions of Hevajra and a prophecy from Vajradakini. So therefore we know that this Lama, Rahul Gupta, wasn't just any ordinary Lama, but he himself was accomplished.
Lama Rahula in the one sugar, Yago, says Shuku, Kandroma Namji, and there was Kandroma Namji Georgia. Kyo Wang to Susel Shores, Lama Gupta Rahula in the shoe, said that Lungden, and then Lama Rahuls in the shoe. The name Lama Shu did that, and Tendil Lama Sankar does it, and Sang Sense, Sang Jinane, Sang said the Yongdam member, Sang Yue Chen, Yeshe, Sang Dorje said Ming Dabarese, Shejawa Dades.
And we read here the prophecy that Guru Rahul Gupta received from Vajradakini. So Vajradakini had also communicated with Lama Atisha that he should go and receive the Hevajra initiation or the complete empowerment from Guru Rahul Gupta. So not only did the Lama receive a prophecy from Vajradakini, but that Dakini also gave instruction to Lama Atisha. And then in receiving the initiation, you receive the secret name. So you have the Sanskrit and the Tibetan, Geshe Thubten Dorje.
Then Gonglo Nyergo, Tunjela, Urubnibe, Lama Dumi, Jengar Dorje Tabala, Jangbe Esa, Junda, Damga, Maluba, Cabra Gurtes. Chisam Gonglo Nishu Tunjela, and the Nigi. Ngurup top again, Toboy and then Gula getting a Lama Mangu, Zane, and Dorje Taba, San Dorje Tebiki, Chu Shu, Wang Mangu Shu, Roche, Mangu Shuada, Wang Shuada, Denigi, and Pa Jangje, Jang de Dene, Shungda, Danga, Maluba, like Cabra Chabare, the Dang, Chike, Dochoki Shunda, Nagi Shunda, Desolia, Danga, Mangu top, and then Shungi, Sansa Mangu, Desolia, Caba Mangu, Cabachima Chabare.
The text continues. Up to the age of 29, he studied the Vajrayana under numerous highly realized gurus and thereby became knowledgeable in all the text and instructions. So here he was studying both Sutra and Tantra, studying the text, receiving instruction on their integration. And in this way, he became not only highly learned, but also realized.
Jasa Bendigo Mango Shune, that's Sangalia, Shun, Doda, Sangashula, Cabachane, Sanga, Wong, Chasa, Wong Mango top, Yamlinja Cabachabanza, that's some Nalia Karkova, and or Sanga like Caba, Nakash in your Nadakshu in your race and begin that was Najash and that's Tanga Kesho race and begin Naja to Scava Egede. Sanga la Nakasos. Nyamdu Gombana, such as Sangala Danga Kavash Keshore, Nalia Kava switch your mares and big some in the covers. Sangala Nani Keso, Nyamdu Gomba Juanas.
The text partially continues. How can we read this? when the thought, I am the great master of secret mantra, occurred to him. So again, I just read up to there. So through having studied extensively on both Sutra and Tantra and become skilled in applying the various spiritual instructions, then some pride arose.
ngai tu gel cha so se de jesa da lam jo chi ni ma pe chi dong thong ma nya je ma nya nga ge pe che mang wo chi de ge ma nam ji ni lam na ya tuen ba de tuen je ji de da o dang he ma thong de ne mang bu de nga ma shin ge mang bu du se be dang ha cha sa de nga ke sho re sa de ta ta re min du se be ge nga ya ma cha ba re je de nga ya tu gel se de nga gel se ko re 写是学那图克，写是嘛是那俺家差过，我是俺家嘛家话的，写上这个嘛那么就说，你嘛可能推什么节嘛鸟话，但可能他们你别去忙不动样的，哦，当黑马行吧忙多啊，是俺来的是现在辛苦了吧？就是俺让开学的学生别的大里面都是别的，俺家差话的，就是俺家这边呢，那个学年人光年不都拍完了，80几个月吧，那这个嘛那么就把。 튕긴 저저 되네기 결혼하다 나게 기교만 되네 마신게 되는 자야 되네 요르다 세네 나게 빼지 망보 뒤에 마시 뒤에 되는 나야 받자 말이지.
And it concludes, when the thought I am the great master of secret mantra occurred to him, the Dakinis appeared to him in a dream and showed him several volumes of tantra he had not seen before, which lowered his pride. So here, when an affliction arose, immediately, the Dakinis came to him in a dream that night and showed him just how much he is still just how much there is still for him to come to know and master, and that served to lower his pride.
Oh yeah, that day ang 저기 조지기 나 윤대니비 수유제 아니 개와시비 수다 윤대니비 수시도 수치네 송 슈바레 지나다 개와된데 렘바 두슬랑바레 아니 윤대된데 장바레 세데 두스네 마 조지기 다 두스네 윤대데 양아서 셰바라와 난 되네자 단 디zam기 나줄이야 어디 레스는 룸로 셰바 잠니 디고마 단 나주 가르삼 땅고르서 나주게 냠슬래야디 다 디벨라지 나주게 삼로 땅하데 가르스 땅고르서 어 조지기 되니기 로니슈 자지는 뒤윤은 뭐래 알로죠 두셰샤스 되니기 전에 나 캐바 아니지게 야 지슝 몽볼야 아니지게 투모와다 투모 많이 병아다 아니지게 도당아 아니 지기 투모의 치료비들 빼마세 캐바지 빼야고래서 니나싱 해내자 달라미게 된게 조지 라미디니 손 제바나지 해내 된지 냠내 제도가 지기야 선배당 아주 차상 지기 선배도 생아 저기 라미기 제바들이야 안 지게 징하는 가서 제수 일하지야다 안델이야 아니 구십기야 라미 된된표든 라미기도 나와 나시 내게 되는 연대지 냠는지 두바지기 선배기 매바도 듬바게 안디게 투야 되는 몰람게야다 내내기 냠는지에게 롭종용에 돈달래서 선음사야 돼 뭐는 되지기 선배다 아주 도스진의 삼다에 된 아주다 디링기 라미기 연대 셰비기 연대 니비 수셰바디게 아주 냠슬리아디 디제고 걸어봐다
So we've looked and some of the presentation describing the many great qualities of Lama Atisha. But what's important, as I mentioned before, is not just to relate to this as a mere historical story, interesting to some degree, and then letting it go. Rather, we should see this as an illustration of a life well lived. Someone who applied themselves well to get both a ordinary or worldly education as well as a Dharma education, and when they had a sufficient basis, applied themselves with vigor and enthusiasm to develop a profound Dharma education. And what comprised the Dharma education was not the mere acquisition of knowledge, but whilst the knowledge was being acquired, that knowledge was integrated. It was integrated through the process of receiving teachings as being personal instructions and then applying those instructions to one's mind, and quickly thereby transforming one's mind. So the process of gaining an education is entwined with the process of integrating that within one's own mind. So the process of study and meditation being combined. So this is the inspiration that we should take. See him as an example of someone who studied with both joy and enthusiasm, and turning away from distraction and applying himself to his education wholeheartedly, single-pointedly. From this then, we try and generate enthusiasm for ourselves to follow in the footsteps of the great masters, follow in the footsteps of our own spiritual teachers. Generate the aspiration, may I train just like they have. May I develop the self-same qualities that our lamas and all the great lamas of the lineage have developed. And then, with such an aspiration, we engage in acts of accumulation of virtue, and then dedicate so that myself and others may apply ourselves with joy and with vigor to develop a Dharma education and integrate that within ourselves, thereby transforming our mind so that we can be of great benefit in this world. So thank you. Then we'll conclude there for this weekend. Thank you very much.